Imagine you're paying $150 for this luxury skin serum.
Right.
You've seen the ads, you've read, all the glowing reviews, and you finally take the plunge.
You're excited.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You unbox it, you smooth it onto your face right before bed, and you wake up 24 hours later with, like, a severe chemical burn.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Because you unknowingly bought a counterfeit. You thought you were buying this miracle cure, but you actually bought, industrial-grade chemicals mixed in some unauthorized factory somewhere.
It's terrifying.
It is. And in certain parts of the global beauty market, that fear isn't just paranoia, It is a daily reality for consumers.
It is basically the ultimate consumer anxiety. I mean, when a product is designed to be absorbed directly into your skin, the stakes are incredibly high.
Yeah, you can't just return a chemical burn.
Right. The margin for error is zero. You need absolute certainty.
And today's deep dive into the source material is about how one company looked at that exact terror, that desperate need for certainty, and built a multi-billion-dollar empire by solving it.
A truly vast empire.
Right. They looked at this totally chaotic landscape of fake cosmetics and gray market imports and essentially said, we will be the fortress. We will guarantee what you're putting on your face is real.
Which, by the way, is a remarkably heavy, difficult promise to keep in the world of modern e-commerce.
Absolutely. So I'm the host, and sitting across from me is our resident analyst, and today we are looking at FSN E-Commerce Ventures Ltd.
Which most people probably know much better as Nykaa.
Yes, exactly. Nykaa. We have this fascinating stack of sources in front of us detailing how Nykaa evolved from, a simple online retailer into India's omnichannel beauty and fashion powerhouse.
It's a crazy transformation.
It really is. So our mission today is to deconstruct Nykaa's unique ecosystem model.
Right, because it is an ecosystem, not just a store.
Exactly. We are going to explore exactly why their market is experiencing this structural boom, how their obsessive focus on trust creates a competitive moat that, frankly, rivals just struggle to cross, and what profound challenges they face as they expand from the high-margin world of beauty into the fiercely competitive, notoriously difficult world of fashion.
It's going to be a lot to cover.
It is. Okay, let's unpack this. Before we can understand how they dominate the market, we really need to understand the fundamental mechanics of what Nykaa actually is.
Because it's not what it looks like on the surface.
Right. Because if you just glance at their app, you might think, oh, it's just, an Indian version of Amazon for lipstick. But that assumption is entirely wrong, isn't it?
It misses the entire architectural foundation of the company. I mean, totally misses it. To understand Nykaa, you really have to look at the three distinct pillars of what they actually sell.
Okay, let's break those down.
And far more importantly, how they source what they sell. So let's start with their core engine, which is the beauty and personal care segment. This is their bread and butter.
The beauty side.
Right. We are talking about over 75,000 unique products, or SKUs, as the industry calls them, spanning around 3,400 brands.
75,000.
Yeah, it's an immense catalog. They cover everything from color cosmetics and skincare to hair care, fragrances, men's grooming, clean beauty, you name it.
So it's everything from, like, a basic face wash to high-end perfume.
Exactly. You have global giants like L'Oreal and Emmo sitting right alongside domestic favorites like Minimalist and Mom Earth.
75,000 products is just a staggering amount of variety to manage. And the sources note they service 98% of India's PIN codes with this catalog.
Which is a logistical miracle in itself, yeah.
But the way they handle this beauty segment is what really sets them apart from a standard tech platform, right? I mean, they don't just connect buyers and sellers like a regular marketplace.
No, they absolutely don't. And this is the key. For the beauty and personal care segment, Nykaa operates on an inventory-led model.
Inventory-led. Okay, explain what that means in practice.
This is the crucial distinction. Nykaa actually purchases roughly 66% of these products directly from the brands themselves, or from the brand's officially authorized distributors.
Wait, so they buy it outright?
Yes. They buy the physical stock, they ship it to their own physical warehouses, they hold it on their own balance sheet, and then they sell it directly to the end user.
They are taking on all the inventory risk.
Every bit of it, yeah.
Wait, let me challenge that for a second.
Yeah.
We live in an era where tech companies are just obsessed with being asset-light.
Oh, absolutely. The ultimate buzzword.
Right. The Silicon Valley dream is to build an app, take a commission, and never touch a single cardboard box.
Just collect a toll on the highway.
Exactly. Holding mountains of physical inventory. I mean, think about pallets of lotion, thousands of glass bottles of perfume that sounds incredibly expensive and risky.
It is.
If a specific shade of foundation goes out of style, Nykaa is stuck holding the bag. They've already paid for it. Why on earth would a modern tech platform act like a traditional, heavy warehouse retailer?
I know, it sounds totally counterintuitive, but because that physical weight, all those warehouses and bosses, is exactly what buys the certainty we talked about earlier.
Ah, the chemical burn fear.
Exactly. Think of Nykaa less like a tech platform and more like an elite art gallery.
Okay, an art gallery. I like that.
Right, because an art gallery doesn't just let anyone walk in, hang a painting on their wall, and sell it to a collector. The gallery authenticates the piece, they take possession of it, and they put their own reputation on the line.
They vouch for it.
Exactly. By choosing the inventory-led model, Nykaa completely bypasses the murky, unvetted networks of third-party sellers.
So no random guys selling stuff out of their garage.
None. Because they buy a pallet of serum directly from the loading dock of the brand's factory, they can absolutely guarantee its authenticity. They enforce a strict 0% counterfeit policy.
So they're essentially spending capital on warehousing and logistics to buy the consumer's trust. The expense is the feature, not a bug.
It is the ultimate feature. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it works in two directions.
What do you mean two directions?
Well, that trust doesn't just attract consumers who are terrified of chemical burns. It attracts the global brands themselves.
Oh, because the brands are scared of fakes, too.
Exactly. Imagine a global prestige brand, say Chanel or The Ordinary or Charlotte Tilbury, and they're looking to enter the Indian market. Their biggest fear is brand dilution.
Right. They spent millions building a luxury image.
And they do not want their luxury eye cream listed on a chaotic open marketplace right next to, a $2 knockoff with a misspelled label.
Yeah, that ruins the prestige completely.
So Nykaa steps in and offers a pristine, controlled environment. They say to the brands, we will buy your inventory, store it in our climate-controlled facilities, and present it to the consumer with an ironclad guarantee of authenticity.
That makes them the ultimate gatekeeper, doesn't it? If you are a global beauty brand, Nykaa isn't just a retailer. They are like your trusted chaperone into a highly complex market.
That is a perfect way to phrase it. A trusted chaperone. Now, contrast that heavy inventory-led beauty model with their second core segment, fashion.
Right, because they sell clothes, too.
Yes. This includes apparel, footwear, and lifestyle items from about 5,000 brands, and they cover value, mid-range, and premium tiers. But for fashion, Nykaa pivots.
How so?
They operate primarily on a marketplace-led model.
Meaning they don't own the clothes.
Correct. Here, third-party sellers list their products on Nykaa's platform. Nykaa facilitates the transaction, handles the digital storefront, and takes a commission, but the third-party seller holds the inventory and often handles the fulfillment.
So for clothes, they revert to being a traditional, asset-light tech marketplace.
Just taking that toll on the highway.
Got it. But for beauty, they remain a heavy inventory-owning vault. And then there is the third pillar, which I know we're going to dive deeply into later. They're in-house brands.
Or what they call the House of Nykaa.
Right. What exactly falls under that umbrella?
These are the brands that Nykaa fully owns, formulates, designs, and manufactures from scratch. We are talking about labels like Nykaa Naturals, K-Beauty, or Dot & Key, spanning makeup, skincare, and fragrances.
So they aren't just selling other people's stuff, they're making their own.
Exactly. They control the entire life cycle of these products, from the chemistry lab all the way to the final sale.
Okay, so the anatomy of the company is super clear now. They act as a trusted vault for beauty, a middleman for fashion, and a quiet manufacturer of their own private labels.
That's the ecosystem in a nutshell.
But a brilliant business model doesn't mean much if the market itself is stagnant. We really need to look at the environment they're operating in. Why is the Indian beauty and fashion market suddenly generating so much wealth?
The wealth generation is coming from a profound structural boom. It's not a blip, it's a fundamental shift. The total addressable market, or TAM, is shifting rapidly.
Let's talk numbers. What are we looking at?
According to the sources, the Indian beauty and personal care market is valued at roughly $28 to $31 billion today.
$28 to $31 billion. That is a vast baseline to start from.
It is substantial, absolutely, but the trajectory is what really has investors paying attention. The market is projected to hit $34 to $40 billion by the year 2030.
Right.
But here is the most critical data point for a digital platform. Online penetration for this market is currently sitting at only 30 to 33%.
Wait, let me do the math on that. If online is only 33%, that means a staggering 67% of this $30 billion market is still entirely offline.
Yes, that 67% resides in what economists call the unorganized sector.
What does that look like on the ground?
We are talking about local neighborhood pharmacies, small mom-and-pop convenience stores, traditional bazaars, and unfortunately the gray market where counterfeits are just rampant.
So back to the chemical burn risk.
Exactly. That unorganized sector represents an immense runway for growth. Every time a consumer decides they want a better selection or guaranteed authenticity or, specialized skincare advice, they transition from the unorganized offline market to an organized digital platform like Nykaa.
So Nykaa doesn't even have to invent new demand to grow. They don't have to convince people to buy soap. They just have to capture the natural migration of shoppers who are moving from the physical pharmacy to the smartphone.
Exactly. They're just catching the wave.
But what is driving that migration? I mean, why is the overall pie expanding toward $40 billion in the first place?
The sources outline several long-term demographic tailwinds. And I want to stress, this is not a temporary post-pandemic spike in online shopping. These are generational shifts.
Okay, what's the first one?
First, consider the influence of Gen Z and Gen Alpha. By 2030, these younger cohorts are expected to account for a full 50% of the total beauty and personal care spend in India.
That's a huge demographic shift. And a 22-year-old today shops for beauty very differently than a 50-year-old did 2 decades ago, right?
Fundamentally differently. Gen Z consumers are highly educated about what they consume. They demand ingredient transparency.
They read the labels.
Oh, they obsess over them. They don't just walk into a store and ask for a generic face wash. They search online for specific concentrations of salicylic acid or hyaluronic acid.
Right, they know the chemistry.
They do. They want cruelty-free certifications and clean beauty standards. And a local, unorganized pharmacy simply cannot provide that level of granular product information or selection.
There's no way a corner store stocks 50 different types of hyaluronic acid.
Exactly. An organized, data-rich platform like Nykaa is perfectly built for an ingredient-obsessed generation.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
And what about the broader economic shifts in India? The sources mention workforce participation as a big factor.
That is the second major tailwind, rising women's workforce participation. There is a direct, measurable correlation between women entering the formal workforce and the premiumization of their beauty spend.
Premiumization meaning buying more expensive stuff.
Right, because when you transition into an office environment every day, your consumption of skincare, color cosmetics, and fragrances naturally increases.
You're out in the world more.
Exactly. It evolves from, say, an occasional purchase for a special event into a non-negotiable daily routine. Furthermore, that employment brings independent disposable income, allowing the consumer to upgrade from mass-market brands to premium or prestige brands.
But the sources also draw a really sharp distinction between the forces driving beauty and the forces driving fashion. They're riding different currents, aren't they?
They are very different beasts. Beauty, as we just discussed, is driven by daily routine usage, ingredient efficacy, the absolute necessity of safety, and this broad push toward formalization.
You find a serum that works, you buy it every 2 months like clockwork.
Precisely. It's habitual. Fashion, on the other hand, is far more volatile. It is driven by social media influencers, rapid urbanization, and the relentless churn of fast fashion trends.
Fashion is fickle.
Highly fickle. Fashion is about trend adoption and aesthetic novelty, whereas beauty, particularly premium skincare, is about trust and biological efficacy.
Let's focus on that premium beauty aspect for a moment, because one of the statistics in the sources really jumped out at me. The sources segment out what they call a premium user for Nykaa.
Yes, a very important demographic for them.
Right, and they note that the top 10% of these premium users spend roughly $395 annually on the platform.
Which is an incredible figure because it represents 9 times the spending of their average user.
9 times.
Yeah.
That is a fascinating concentration of wealth. It tells you Nykaa isn't just relying on millions of casual shoppers buying a single tube of lip balm once a year.
No, not at all.
They have managed to capture a highly lucrative, dedicated demographic that relies on the platform to fund their entire extensive vanity table.
And that concentration of spending ties directly back to their expensive inventory-led model we talked about.
How so?
Well, a premium user spending almost $400 a year, is buying what the industry would
Uh-huh.
call high-involvement products. They are buying the luxury serums, the imported prestige cosmetics, the complex active ingredients.
The expensive stuff.
Right. And that specific consumer is the most terrified of counterfeits and therefore the most loyal to a platform that can absolutely guarantee authenticity. They are paying for peace of mind.
But here's a demographic twist that I found genuinely surprising. When you or I think of premium beauty and consumers dropping hundreds of dollars on luxury serums, it is very easy to picture the metropolitan elites, right? Like people living in the high-rises of Mumbai or Delhi or Bangalore.
That's the assumption, yeah.
But the sources highlight a profound non-metro phenomenon.
This is perhaps one of the most vital insights in the entire deep dive. 60% of the prestige beauty sales on Nykaa actually originate from non-metro regions, Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities.
60%.
Yeah.
That completely upends the stereotype of luxury consumption. It is not just a big city phenomenon.
If you look closely at the mechanics of retail in a developing market, it makes perfect sense.
Walk me through it.
Imagine a consumer living in a growing Tier 2 city. Thanks to the internet, they have the exact same exposure to global beauty trends, influencers, and brand awareness as someone in Mumbai.
They're watching the same TikToks and Instagram reels.
Exactly. They might also have the disposable income to afford a Chanel fragrance or an Estee Lauder night repair serum. What they lack is physical access.
Because there's no luxury mall in their town.
Right. The luxury department stores and high-end boutiques simply haven't built physical infrastructure in their city yet.
So the offline retail infrastructure is physically bottlenecking their ability to spend.
Exactly. Nykaa essentially bridges that gap. They take the entire luxury mall experience, digitize it, and put it directly into the pocket of a consumer in a non-metro city.
That's brilliant.
They are unlocking latent demand. And the sources point out that these non-metro markets offer 5 times the headroom for per capita spending growth compared to the saturated metro areas.
That is profound. They aren't just fighting for market share in crowded cities. They're acting as the primary luxury pipeline for the rest of the country.
The pipeline, yes.
So let's summarize the battlefield here. You have a sprawling market heading toward $40 billion.
Yeah.
The demographics are perfectly aligned with ingredient-conscious younger generations and rising disposable incomes. Vast swaths of the country are coming online and demanding access to prestige products.
It's a gold rush.
Naturally, a market that lucrative is going to attract fierce competition.
Oh, the competition is formidable. You are looking at deep-pocketed conglomerates and global titans. You have Myntra, which is backed by the sprawling Flipkart group. You have Tata CLEQ Palette, leveraging the immense resources of the Tata conglomerate. And of course, you have Amazon India.
And yet, despite those titans entering the arena with seemingly endless capital, the sources estimate that Nykaa has managed to capture an estimated 40 to 45% of the online beauty gross merchandise value.
That's a staggering market share.
They're holding almost half the board. How on earth do they defend that turf? If I am a consumer, why don't I just buy my moisturizer on Amazon?
The sources deconstruct Nykaa's competitive advantage into what we can envision as a 3-pillar fortress. And it is the compounding effect of these 3 pillars working together that makes the moat so difficult for competitors to cross.
Okay, let's go through the pillars.
We have already explored the foundation, which is pillar 1, brand trust and authenticity.
Right. The heavy, expensive choice to buy the inventory directly so they can offer that strict 0% counterfeit policy.
Correct. But authenticity alone isn't enough to capture 55 million consumers. Pillar 2 is what truly activates that trust, the content-to-commerce ecosystem.
Content-to-commerce, explain that.
Nykaa does not operate a sterile transactional digital catalog where you just search, click, and buy. They have built an incredibly dense education-first platform.
We are talking about thousands of video tutorials, detailed breakdowns of chemical ingredients, partnerships with dermatologists and influencers, and interactive expert advisory forums.
They are actively teaching their consumers how to consume.
Wow, teaching them how to consume. That's powerful.
It is. They teach them how to layer serums, why vitamin C shouldn't be mixed with certain acids, and which specific routines work for a humid climate versus a dry climate.
So it's a beauty school and a store combined.
Exactly. They are systematically removing purchase anxiety. If a consumer is contemplating a high-involvement purchase, say, a $60 chemical exfoliant, They want to feel deeply educated before they click buy.
Because if you use an exfoliant wrong, you burn your face.
Right. Nykaa provides the classroom and then seamlessly links the educational content to the authenticated product on their own shelf.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting to me. I want to push back on this.
Go for it.
If I am the CEO of Amazon India and I see Nykaa winning because of a content ecosystem, why can't I just copy that?
Yeah.
Amazon has infinitely more money.
True.
Why can't Amazon just hire 3,000 beauty influencers, build a sprawling library of high-production video tutorials, integrate them into the Amazon app, and then just ruthlessly out-discount Nykaa on the actual products?
It is a logical question, but it fundamentally misunderstands the psychology of the beauty consumer. It goes back to the concept of the high-involvement purchase.
Okay, unpack that.
Beauty is not a commoditized utility item. If you need a USB charging cable or a pack of AA batteries, you go to Amazon, sort by the lowest price, and you buy it. The stakes are incredibly low.
If the cable breaks, you're out $5.
Exactly. But if you are buying an active serum that you are going to rub into the pores of your face every single morning, your primary driver is not the price tag. Your primary driver is safety and efficacy.
You will not risk your skin health to save $4.
You absolutely will not. Even if Amazon builds a beautiful content library, they are still fundamentally recognized by the consumer as a vast third-party marketplace where anyone can sell anything.
The everything store.
Right. The underlying trust in the physical inventory just isn't there to the same degree. Trust and authenticity is a delicate moat built over a decade of flawless, consistent execution. It is a reputation.
And you can't just buy a reputation.
No, you cannot buy a reputation overnight with a seasonal discount or a marketing blitz. Consumers might engage in what the industry calls multi-homing. They might browse Amazon or Myntra to check prices, but when it comes time to actually purchase a high-involvement skincare product, they consistently return to Nykaa because the psychological peace of mind outweighs the competitor's discount.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
You do not bargain hunt for a parachute, and you do not bargain hunt for a chemical peel. The risk of failure is just too high.
Exactly. Now, to complete this defensive fortress, we have to look at Pillar 3, omnichannel distribution.
Meaning physical stores.
Yes. Despite being born as a digital-first company, Nykaa has aggressively rolled out physical infrastructure, operating over 237 physical stores across India.
Let me stop you right there because that seems entirely counterintuitive. Retail is struggling globally. The whole promise of e-commerce is that you can scale infinitely without signing expensive commercial real estate leases and paying electricity bills for hundreds of brick-and-mortar shops.
It's the old-school way of doing things.
Yeah. Why would a successful tech platform choose to anchor itself to physical stores?
Because in the premium beauty sector, a physical store serves a very different function than a traditional retail shop. These stores are not primarily designed to act as high-volume warehouses for inventory.
What are they for then?
They are designed as experiential trust-building hubs. The sources detail how these physical locations feature high-touch services, things like Dyson blow-dry bars and iPad skin analyzers.
iPad skin analyzers. Walk me through how that actually works in practice.
Okay, imagine a consumer in a Tier 2 city who has never spent more than $10 on a face cream. They are curious about premium skincare, but they are intimidated.
Sure, walking into a luxury store is scary.
They walk into a physical Nykaa Luxe store. A trained beauty advisor uses a digital iPad tool to scan their face, analyzing their hydration levels, pigmentation, and skin texture.
Oh, wow. So it's highly personalized.
Highly. The advisor then physically demonstrates a routine on the customer's skin, allowing them to feel the texture of the product and smell the fragrance. The brand becomes tangible, the customer feels seen, educated, and safe.
So they demystify the luxury experience.
Precisely. And here is the genius of it. Even if that customer doesn't buy a single thing in the store that day, the mission is accomplished.
Because they've built the trust.
Right. That consumer goes home, downloads the Nykaa app, watches a related video tutorial, and subsequently makes all their future purchases online with complete confidence. The physical store is essentially an incredibly effective real-world billboard for the digital app.
It creates this brilliant self-reinforcing loop. The physical store builds the initial real-world trust. The digital content ecosystem provides ongoing education and discovery. The guaranteed authentic inventory closes the sale safely.
It's a perfect circle.
And the data from all of this, wait, let's think about the data for a second. What are they actually doing with the granular data they are gathering from 55 million consumers watching specific tutorials, taking skin quizzes, and browsing ingredients.
That data is their hidden engine. It is the most valuable asset they possess, and it feeds directly back into their third business segment, their in-house brands.
The house of Nykaa.
Yes. The sheer volume of search behavior and content consumption tells Nykaa exactly what the Indian consumer wants before the broader market even recognizes it.
Give me a hypothetical example of how that works. I want to visualize this.
Let's say their data analytics team notices a sudden, persistent spike in searches for niacinamide for hyperpigmentation among users in high-humidity cities.
Okay, very specific.
At the same time, they see high engagement on video tutorials discussing clean vegan beauty. Nykaa doesn't have to wait for a third-party brand to invent a product that fits that exact description.
They can just make it themselves.
Exactly. They can immediately take that data to their own laboratories, formulate a vegan niacinamide serum specifically balanced for humid climates, manufacture it under their own House of Nykaa label, and launch it.
And because they control the platform, they guarantee its success.
Yep.
They put it at the top of the search results, feature it in their own tutorials, and place it on the front shelves of their 237 stores. They own the classroom, they own the shelf, and increasingly, they own the actual product sitting on the shelf.
Which is where the margins explode.
Which brings us to the most critical question for any business deep dive. How does this beautiful theoretical ecosystem actually translate into hard cash? Let's look at the financial realities.
The top-line financial numbers are undeniably robust. In fiscal year 25, their gross merchandise value, or GMV, which is the total value of all goods sold across their platforms, hit Rs. 11,800 crores.
11,800 crores.
That's a massive number. I mean, a substantial number. And the sources show their revenue is growing consistently at around 24 to 25% year over year.
Very healthy growth.
Those are impressive top-line growth figures for a company of that size. But as we know, revenue is just a vanity metric if the economics underneath it are flawed. The margins are where the real story of a business is told.
And this is where the genius of that House of Nykaa strategy we just discussed becomes financially clear.
Break it down for me.
When Nykaa sells a third-party beauty product, let's say a L'Oreal shampoo or a MAC lipstick via their inventory-led model, they yield a gross margin of roughly 40 to 45%.
40 to 45% gross margin in retail is excellent.
It is. It's driven by their immense scale, their negotiating power with suppliers, and the advertising income they charge brands for visibility on the app. But wait, that's just the third-party stuff.
Right. Consider what happens when they sell a product from their own House of Nykaa portfolio brands they built themselves, like K-Beauty or Dot & Key. For those items, they command a gross margin of 55 to 60%.
A 55 to 60% gross margin.
Yes.
Because they control the entire supply chain from the factory to the consumer. There is no third-party brand taking a cut. They get to keep the entire pie.
Exactly. The private labels are their absolute core margin driver. Currently, these owned brands make up over 12% of their total GMV, but here's the crucial detail. They are growing at a staggering 48% compound annual growth rate.
The most profitable part of the business is also the fastest growing part.
Exactly. As this high-margin segment becomes a progressively larger piece of the overall pie, it structurally pulls the entire company's profitability upward. It enriches the whole ecosystem.
Okay, so the beauty segment is a high-margin, fast-growing, highly efficient cash engine. But now we have to talk about the awkward reality of their second pillar, fashion.
Yeah. Fashion is tricky.
Because the numbers here paint a very different picture.
Yes. Fashion is their high-growth secondary engine, but it comes with profound financial drag and operational complexity.
The sources explicitly note that fashion has significantly lower margins, hovering around 30%, compared to beauty's 45 or 60%.
It's a much tighter squeeze.
But the really painful statistic, the one that must keep their supply chain managers awake at night, is the return rate. The fashion segment experiences a 30 to 40% return rate.
It is a notorious structural problem in fashion e-commerce, often referred to in the industry as leakage.
I want to pause and really think about the physical reality of the 30 to 40% return rate. That means nearly 4 out of every 10 items a customer clicks buy on eventually come back.
It's a logistical nightmare.
Let's walk through the reverse logistics of a return dress. The company pays a courier to ship it out to the customer.
Stripe one.
The customer tries it on, decides it doesn't fit right, and initiates a return. Nykaa has to pay a courier to drive back to the house, pick up the box, and transport it back to a warehouse.
Strike two.
Then, a human worker has to open the box, inspect the dress for makeup stains or wear and tear, steam it, repackage it, and log it back into the inventory system.
And that entire process takes weeks, which brings us to the concept of the cash conversion cycle.
Right. Because fashion is fiercely seasonal. If a consumer buys a bright summer dress in late August, and that dress bounces around the reverse logistics mail system for 3 weeks, by the time it is restocked and ready to sell again, it's late September.
The trend is past.
The weather has changed. That dress is now dead stock that will likely have to be heavily discounted to move. That must put an immense strain on their working capital.
It absolutely drains working capital. The sources state clearly that this high return rate in fashion constrains their cash generation. Every dress stuck in transit is cash that cannot be deployed elsewhere.
Well, the beauty side is just printing money.
Right. While the beauty segment is a highly efficient cash machine with negligible returns, people simply do not return a used tube of lipstick or an open bottle of foundation. Fashion is structurally chaotic and capital-intensive.
So what does this all mean? If beauty is the high-margin golden goose with low returns, and fashion is a low-margin operational headache with a 40% return rate that eats up working capital, why is Nykaa even bothering with clothes?
It's a great question.
Why not just stick to lipsticks and serums, where they are undisputed, highly profitable champions? Why fight a war you don't need to fight?
It is a deliberate, calculated, strategic gamble based on two concepts: wallet share and basket size. While fashion is undeniably difficult operationally, it possesses a significantly higher average order value, or AOV.
A customer spends far more money in a single transaction on a dress and a pair of shoes than they do on a bottle of concealer.
Exactly. The sources note that the fashion average order value is over Rs 3,400, which completely dwarfs the average beauty purchase. The overarching strategy is cross-selling.
Okay, lay that out for me.
Think about the asset Nykaa has already built. They have successfully acquired 55 million highly engaged, fiercely loyal beauty consumers. The marketing dollars required to acquire those users, the customer acquisition cost has already been spent.
They already have the app on their phone.
Yes. If Nykaa can convince that loyal beauty shopper who already trusts the app to add a high-ticket dress or a premium handbag to their cart, they dramatically increase their share of that consumer's total lifestyle wallet without paying to acquire a new customer.
They're essentially using beauty as a Trojan horse to get into the customer's closet.
That's a great analogy.
They use the high-margin, high-trust beauty products to establish the relationship and then attempt to squeeze significantly more revenue out of that existing user base through high-ticket fashion items.
Yes. Even if it requires heavy short-term inventory builds and tolerating those painful reverse logistics while they fight for scale, the long-term vision is to own the entire premium lifestyle purchase of the Indian consumer, not just the vanity table.
And as they push for this scale, they benefit from a financial dynamic the sources highlight called operating leverage. Now, we don't want to sound like an accounting textbook, so let's discuss how this actually manifests in reality for Nykaa.
Right. Let's keep it grounded. Operating leverage simply describes a state where a company's sales are growing faster than its fixed costs. For a tech platform like Nykaa, their biggest expenses are fixed.
Like what?
Things like the core architecture of their technology platform, the salaries of their app developers, and their overarching national brand marketing campaigns.
Right. It costs roughly the same amount of money to write the code for the app, whether one person is using it or 55 million people are using it.
Precisely. So as their total GMV scales upward from Rs 11,800 crores to, say, 15,000 crores, they do not need to proportionally double their app development budget or their corporate overhead.
So the extra revenue is mostly profit.
Exactly. A much larger percentage of every new rupee earned falls straight through to the bottom line as pure profit. We are already seeing concrete evidence of this leverage in action.
What are the numbers saying?
The sources show their net profit recently surged an astonishing 154% year-over-year. Furthermore, their EBITDA margins, which measure core operating profitability, expanded from 5.5% to 6.8%.
So the financial engine is truly purring. The fixed costs are stabilizing. The high-margin private labels are growing at nearly 50%. And they are leveraging the immense trust they built in beauty to aggressively cross-sell higher-ticket fashion items.
It's a beautifully designed system.
When you lay it all out like that, it sounds like an unstoppable perpetual motion machine. But of course, in the world of retail technology, no empire is safe forever. Let's look at the horizon and discuss the existential threats. What could realistically disrupt this beautifully designed fortress?
The most immediate, visceral threat disrupting the Indian e-commerce landscape right now is the explosive rise of quick commerce.
Yes, apps like Zepto and Blinkit. This is a wild, fascinating phenomenon happening in India right now that is completely rewriting consumer expectations.
It is fundamentally altering the psychology of online shopping. These quick commerce platforms promise the delivery of everyday items to your doorstep in 10 to 20 minutes.
Which is just insane speed.
Right. Initially, this model was strictly utilized for basic groceries, fresh produce, and emergency supplies. But increasingly, they are aggressively encroaching on the beauty and personal care categories.
And here's the exact vulnerability for Nykaa. If I'm getting ready for an event, or if I just ran out of my preferred daily moisturizer and I know I can get it delivered to my house in 12 minutes using Zepto, am I really going to wait 2 to 3 days for Nykaa to ship it from a centralized warehouse?
Probably not.
Even if I love Nykaa's educational content and trust their brand, the sheer convenience of a 12-minute delivery might override that loyalty.
That is the exact tension. The pressure for instant gratification is incredibly powerful. The sources suggest a projection that is quite sobering for traditional platforms. Quick commerce could become the largest online beauty and personal care format by the year 2030.
By 2030. That is a terrifying projection for a traditional e-commerce player built on multi-day shipping. How is Nykaa responding to that threat?
They are not ignoring it, I'll say that. Their response is a strategic initiative called Nykaa Now, which is their foray into rapid delivery.
Are they building their own quick delivery network?
Yes, they have recently rolled out over 53 rapid stores, or dark stores, to facilitate this hyperlocal fulfillment. But here is the challenge. Competing in the hyperlocal 10-minute delivery game requires an entirely different operational muscle than running large, centralized national warehouses.
Oh yeah, completely different logistics.
It requires maintaining thousands of tiny, decentralized inventory hubs embedded in residential neighborhoods. It is a highly capital-intensive, logistically agonizing battleground.
They are essentially forced to fight a two-front war. They have to maintain their prestige, content-rich national platform while simultaneously fighting in the muddy trenches of 10-minute hyperlocal delivery.
Exactly. It's spreading their resources.
So quick commerce is threat number one. The consumer's relentless need for speed, overriding their loyalty to the broader ecosystem. What is threat number two?
Threat number two brings us right back to the complexities of the fashion segment. The looming risk is structural underperformance.
Meaning it just never gets profitable.
Yes. If the fashion segment fails to eventually achieve self-sustaining scale and profitability, it ceases to be a Trojan horse and becomes a permanent anchor dragging down the entire company.
Because they are signing real-world commercial leases for physical fashion stores, they're tying up vast amounts of working capital in seasonal closing inventory, and if those clothes keep bouncing back through the mail system at a 40% return rate, it's just incinerating the cash that the highly efficient beauty side of the business is working so hard to generate.
Exactly. The general market expectation embedded in Nykaa's current valuation is that beauty will undoubtedly remain a durable, compounding engine for years to come. The moat is proven.
But fashion is the wild card.
Right. There is prevailing skepticism that fashion can ever achieve a strong profit margin because of the inherently high customer acquisition costs in that space and the low repeat purchase rates compared to daily skincare.
But let's look at the upside scenario, if they can fix it.
If they can fix it, the math changes entirely. If the fashion segment can just break even or eventually hit a modest, say, 10% operating margin, the overall value of the company skyrockets.
The anchor is lifted.
Exactly. The immense drag on working capital is removed, and the sheer volume and high average order value of fashion sales start contributing positively to the bottom line rather than acting as a tax on the beauty profits.
It's a high-stakes, multi-billion-dollar gamble.
Yeah.
They are essentially utilizing the profits from the best, most defensible beauty business in the country to fund a very difficult, very expensive fashion turnaround.
That's business at this scale.
But let's look past the threats and focus on the ultimate upside. What is the ultimate growth vector for Nykaa? Where does this company go in the next decade if the machine keeps hunting?
What's fascinating here is the ultimate, most lucrative growth vector lies in aggressively scaling the House of Nykaa brands.
Those private labels that command the 55 to 60% margins.
Yes. Because if you step back and look at the architecture of the business, Nykaa's ultimate goal isn't just to be the best store.
What are they aiming for?
They are utilizing their unmatched data visibility, the ability to see exactly what 55 million Indian consumers are searching for, reading about, clicking on, and purchasing to become the ultimate brand incubator.
They're essentially weaponizing their own digital and physical shelf space.
It is an unparalleled advantage. They have already built private brands that deliver RC in 1,700 crores in GMV, and those brands are growing at nearly 50% a year.
Our 1,700 cores from brands they just invented.
Think about the traditional path for a new beauty brand. They have to spend millions of dollars on risky advertising just to get a consumer's attention, and then they have to fight brutal battles with distributors just to secure a few inches of physical shelf space in a crowded pharmacy.
It's exhausting just thinking about it.
Nykaa bypasses all of that. They already own the consumer's attention through their content ecosystem, and they already own the physical and digital shelf.
Right, they own the real estate.
They can identify a gap in the market, launch a new brand, place it at the very top of the app's search results, feature it in tutorials by trusted influencers, and put it on the front display of their 237 stores overnight.
It is a closed-loop system of brand creation, which is why the market believes that if these House of Nykaa brands continue to scale at this 48% rate, they could eventually account for a vast, dominant portion of the company's overall sales, entirely transforming Nykaa's margin profile from a traditional retailer into a highly profitable brand conglomerate.
They are building an ecosystem where they capture the value at every single stage of the consumer journey.
Okay, let's bring this all together. We started by talking about the deep, visceral anxiety of standing in an aisle or scrolling on a phone, terrified of buying a counterfeit product that could harm you.
The chemical burn fear.
Exactly. Nykaa recognized that fear and capitalized on it. They capitalized on a substantial cultural shift toward premiumization, ingredient transparency, and formalization.
They really caught the wave at the right time.
They built an absolute fortress of trust by taking on the heavy, expensive burden of physical inventory. They utilized an elaborate education-first content ecosystem to teach a whole generation of consumers how to build complex routines.
And they did it brilliantly.
And all the while, they were quietly using the data generated by that education to build highly profitable, perfectly targeted private labels in the background.
It truly is a masterclass in modern ecosystem building. They identified a fundamental consumer pain point, authenticity and safety, and used the trust they built solving that pain point to construct a closed loop of discovery, purchase, and internal brand creation.
So the next time you're scrolling on your phone, you add a new vitamin C serum or a seasonal jacket to an online cart, take a moment to think about the invisible machinery operating behind that glowing screen.
There's a lot going on back there.
Think about the data analytics engine that accurately predicted you would want that specific ingredient formulation. Think about the expensive physical warehouse space the company leased to hold that inventory just to guarantee to you that it wasn't a fake.
The cost of trust.
Think about the vast ecosystem of videos, articles, and reviews that gently, persistently convinced you to click buy. And think about the complex reverse logistics network waiting in the wings just in case that jacket doesn't fit.
The machinery required to make e-commerce work at scale is incredibly complex, but the consumer experience is designed to feel entirely seamless. And that frictionless experience is the hallmark of a dominant, enduring platform.
It really is. But I want to leave you, our listener, with one final provocative thought to mull over as we wrap up this deep dive into the source material.
What's the thought?
If Nykaa's own House of Nykaa brands keep growing at a staggering 48% a year, and those brands command vastly superior profit margins compared to the act of selling other companies' products, will there come a day when the ultimate beauty marketplace decides it doesn't really need third-party brands at all?
That would be a seismic shift.
Right. If you control the classroom, the data, and the shelf space, could the ultimate retailer eventually transform entirely into the ultimate brand? Until next time, keep diving deep.